We are celebrating the 10th anniversary of Sharkfest. Fans can watch it on National Geographic networks as well as Disney Plus. We have Nat Geo shark experts Jasmine, Carly, and Gibbs here to chat all about it. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Yeah, it's a pleasure.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
First of all, let's talk about sharks in general. Obviously, with the younger kids, we have Baby Shark, we have Shark Dog, some of these animated series, for kids, but then also films like Jaws scared moviegoers, for generations. But what do you think is just the fascination with sharks in general?
Sharks are super mysterious, and even for all that we know about them, they've been on our planet for hundreds of millions of years, and we're still learning stuff about them. So I think they just draw us in every time we see them.
Let's talk a little bit about camel sharks. I mean, that's one of the specials that we're going to see. I mean, just even knowing that they can change color and that's how they survive, for millions of years. Let's talk a little bit about that and maybe some of the other secrets that we're going to learn.
So yeah, in our program in camel sharks, we actually were learning about shark skin and the different adaptations that it has. And one thing that we uncovered in our investigation was that great whites actually have this amazing ability to modulate their color for the sake of camouflage. And I think there's a whole bunch of other cool things that came out of these programs. Jasmine, I think you were a part of some as well.
Yeah, I was with Carly and Jaws Invasion, learning about the adaptations sharks have to appear in some odd places like saltwater swimming pools and ponds of golf courses and things like that.
That's one of the things I want to chat about is because in Chicagoland, there was a small alligator that got into one of our lakes and it became a huge media sensation of like, how did an alligator get in the middle of an urban area here in Chicago? But then knowing that that could also happen with a shark, I just blew my mind. And I was like at the edge of my seat watching that special.
Yeah, it's really interesting. Especially sharks like bull sharks that are able to exist and thrive in fresh water. It's really easy for them to find their way into different places, especially when we have storm surges and things that are connecting the ocean to these ponds. And if they're swimming and they end up in a pond and then that water recedes, they're like, well, I'm here now. I guess I will just continue to exist and thrive in this area, which is pretty cool.
We've seen a crazy summer as far as weather goes. There's record temperatures in Europe right now. We're having it here in the States as well too, and across the world. But how do you think that's impacting our sea life, and what do you think might come out of this?
So the interesting thing about sharks is most of them don't have the ability to regulate their own internal body temperature. So they're dependent on the temperature of the water. So if they want their bodies to be hotter or colder, they have to physically move to where there is warmer or colder water. So as these waters start changing, we're going to start seeing differences in the migration patterns, where we're seeing sharks, where we're not seeing sharks. And that's going to be really interesting to see what result that has on our ecosystems.
I want to go ahead and ask all of you, and then Carly, let's go ahead and start with you as far as what was that first fascination with sharks for you that got you into this field?
I fell in love with sharks because of they're just so diverse. I remember learning how many different types of sharks there are. There are only over 500 different types of sharks. When I first learned about sharks, there were probably less than that. So we're just continuing to discover new species in all these different environmental niches around the world. And that's one of my favorite things about sharks. That's really what got me into sharks, was just how diverse they are. And, they've got these really cool superpowers that not a lot of people know about.
What about for you, Gibbs?
I grew up in Nairobi, Kenya, and my first encounter with sharks was Steven Spielberg's Jaws. And I grew up being terrified of sharks until I got a chance to go diving with them. And of course, there was that fear, but there was also the curiosity. Once I got in the water with sharks, that was exactly what I needed to dispel my fear of these animals. Just seeing them in real time right in front of me told me that these are not mindless killing animals. They're amazing, curious, inquisitive, boisterous fish that have all sorts of mannerisms and characteristics that don't include being a man-eating killer. So I think the big takeaway for me is if you see a shark, jump in.
And what about for you, Jasmine?
Well, my first moment that I fell in love with sharks was with the hammerhead family. And they are very weird. They've got these weird long heads. And I just remember thinking, millions of years of evolution and that's what you came up with? Why? And so that's really what got me fascinated in sharks, is just all of these weird differences that they have and way that they've evolved over the years.
Well, thank you so much for your time today. I'm getting ready. I'm going to continue to keep watching Sharkfest. I don't know if I'm ready to jump in with them just yet, but maybe we'll chat again next year and we'll see.
Yeah, call me. You got my number.
I got your number. All right. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you.